Look at this tasty dish! To make it, mix 4 eggs with 100 grams of sugar. Then pour in half a teaspoon of salt and vanilla extract and 500 milliliters of milk. Whisk everything through. Next, use a sieve to sift 160 grams of cake flour into the mix. This will help remove any lumps. Then whisk it through until smooth. Pour in 30 grams of melted butter and combine everything. Then cover with cling film and refrigerate for an hour. Once cooled, separate the batter evenly into 7 bowls and use multicolored food dye to color the batter. Cook up your batter one by one, making sure to cook evenly on both sides. And remember, use a non-stick pan and clean your pan in between each crepe. Once you've cooked all the crepes, use a circular cake cutter to trim the edges off. Remove the excess and tidy away your crepe. Now whisk together 50 milliliters of whipping cream and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then pour in 100 grams of icing sugar and blend everything well to create a thick mix. Lay out your first crepe. Then lay down some thick whipped cream on top and spread it all around the crepe. Create a nice flat surface. Lay another of the same colour down on top, smooth it out, and then spread out more cream. Create another flat surface. Repeat with all the layers left of that colour. Then continue the pattern using each batch of differently coloured crepes to create a rainbow effect. Make sure you don't lose track of which colour you're using at any given time. Once you reach the final crepe, spread out more whipped cream in a thick layer. It's like putting frosting on a cake. Top this cream with rainbow sprinkles that match your crepe colours. Finally, you can step back and take in your work. When you cut through, you really see the cool rainbow effect you've achieved. Well done! Here's a cake recipe that doesn't even need an oven. Mix 250 grams of crushed Oreos and 100 grams of melted butter. Then grease a baking dish and spoon your mixture into the base. Spread out your mixture. Then use a small glass to push the mixture down and around the edges. This will become your cheesecake base. Now freeze for 30 minutes. Now pop 300 grams of cream cheese and 200 grams of sugar into a bowl and whisk together really well. Add 150 milliliters of sour cream and whisk that in too. Finally, pour in 100 milliliters of orange juice and mix that in by hand. Now pour the whole thing into your base. And freeze for 1 hour. While it freezes, mix 100 grams of orange jello powder and 50 milliliters of water. This is your final layer. Pour it carefully onto the top of your cake. Once your cheesecake base is filled, freeze for 1 more hour to allow it to set. Once you remove it from the freezer, crumble over some chocolate shavings as decoration. a little in the middle, and then some orange peel for a further bit of style. The orange jello ingredient is a great original touch. I hope you love it.
Today we are going to make a traditional Italian dessert with a twist, the watermelon panna cotta. Panna cotta is a traditional Italian dessert that is made with heavy cream, sugar and vanilla. Get ready to bring Italy home as Cooking Company takes you one step at a time to create the delicious watermelon panna cotta. All you need is 10 grams of agar powder, 20 grams of sugar, put it in a pot on a stove, give it a little bit of a stir, and then we add our 200 millilitres of milk and 200 millilitres of whipping cream. We're going to give that another stir as it heats up on the stove. Let it become perfectly combined before removing it from the heat. Now this is going to be our panna cotta mixture. This is the white part of our gelatine dessert. We're going to then get a glass which we will tilt on its side and add our panna cotta mixture. The great thing about this recipe is it's so easy. It only requires 4 ingredients: your gelatine powder, Agar is actually vegan gelatin powder, and your heavy cream, your milk, and your watermelon. And voila, there you have it. Now, we're going to put that in the fridge to chill for 1 hour so it sets nice. Meanwhile, we'll get a watermelon, cut it in half. Be very careful with this part. You'll need a nice big sharp knife to do that. You can actually choose any fruits you like. You could use blueberries with a blue coloured jello, or even raspberries. Now we're going to get a scoop. We can use an ice cream scoop to scoop out little pieces of the watermelon. We're going to keep doing this so we get quite a few scoops of watermelon out, let's say 5 or 6 for each glass of panna cotta dessert. Put those aside. Meanwhile, 10 grams of agar powder, 20 grams of sugar, again in the cooking pot. Give it a stir, making sure it's evenly distributed. Next, we're going to add 400 millilitres of water. That's all we need, folks. So we'll stir that, make sure all the agar powder and sugar has dissolved in the water. While it's heating, we want it to bubble away nicely. When it's been bubbling for a while, we're going to turn off the heat and remove the mixture from the stove. Now that is going to cool down, and while it's cooling, we'll add our watermelon chunks on top of our panna cotta mixture, which is now nicely set. And then we add our agar water, our vegan gelatin water mixture on top, all the way to the top of the glass. It looks great in a short glass like this. We're going to stick that in the fridge to chill for a further 1 hour. And when it's set and ready, we take it out and add our decorations. We're using a few sugar decorations. And why not add a few sprigs of green mint? It looks fantastic against the red and the white. Even the flowers are matching. I would not mind a scoop of that. Oof, how refreshing.
Allow me to introduce the wonder that is Dalgona coffee. Now, let's make some ourselves. Throw 2 tablespoons of instant coffee and 2 tablespoons of sugar into a bowl. Whisk them together, then add a few tablespoons of warm water. Continue to mix until you end up with a brown froth, like this. Look for those magic peaks. Meanwhile, heat some milk gently on the stove. You want to get it simmering. Like this. Then pour the hot milk into an insulated glass. About 2/3 of the way. Carefully spoon over your frothy coffee foam. Smooth over the surface like this. And once you've reached the top, you can sprinkle over some cocoa powder to add to your presentation and to your flavour. Serve it up with a spoon and get ready to become everyone's favourite host. Mix the 2 halves together for a really cool drink. Enjoy!
let's look at making some easy and delicious red velvet churros. Originating from Spain and Portugal, these are now enjoyed around the world. We are going to be making a red velvet version filled with yummy cream cheese that requires only 5 ingredients. These delicious churros will melt in your mouth, so get your aprons out and join Cooking Company as we take you on a step-by-step guide. Now all you need is some water, some sugar, some butter. Now we heat that on a low to medium heat, mix it together, and then we add our all-purpose flour, cocoa powder, and of course, red food colouring. Now we keep stirring it while it's sizzling away on the pan until it becomes a dough-like texture. Next, it's time to add the eggs. 2 eggs will suffice, and we give that a lovely whisk. Let's get our piping bag out. So we've put our mixture into a piping bag with a nozzle on the end which has a serrated edge, and we just pipe away till we've got our tray filled with churros. Then we're going to freeze that for 1 hour, then take them out and deep fry them. Lovely. Now it's time to add our cream cheese filling. So we'll poke a hole all the way through the middle, and with another piping bag we're going to just squeeze in and fill each one all the way through. Now comes the fun part. We're going to melt some chocolate. We've used white chocolate and dark chocolate here. You can use any chocolate you like. You can even dip it in caramel, coat it in cinnamon sugar like they do in Mexico, whatever takes your fancy. These are best enjoyed fresh. However, you can freeze them for a lasting treat. Absolutely gorgeous.